What if the deadliest weapon you could give your enemy is the one you take away? Welcome to Tech Briefed, where we decode the truth hidden behind the global headlines. Right now, in the corridors of power in Washington, a victory is being declared. They believe they have landed a masterstroke, a decisive blow against China's burgeoning artificial intelligence empire. The weapon of choice? A targeted surgical ban on the export of Nvidia's most advanced H200 GPUs, the silicon brains that power the next generation of AI. On the surface, the logic is flawless. By cutting off the supply of these critical components, the United States aims to cripple China's military AI development, ensuring American technological supremacy for decades to come. The move was hailed as a bold, strategic necessity. But what if the story being celebrated in the mainstream press is dangerously incomplete? What if this act of economic warfare wasn't a brilliant checkmate, but a colossal blunder that history will remember as the moment America accidentally created its own worst nightmare? This isn't just a story about politics or technology. It's about a single decision that has lit the fuse on a firestorm set to reshape the entire global economy. And in this video, we will show you exactly how the embers are already spreading. To understand the logic behind the ban, you have to step inside the Pentagon's war rooms and the strategic sessions at the White House. For years, they have been watching a single terrifying trend: China's fusion of military power with artificial intelligence. This wasn't a distant threat, it was happening now. They saw plans for AI-guided naval fleets, autonomous drone swarms capable of overwhelming defenses, and predictive warfare models that could simulate and win conflicts before a single shot was fired. Intelligence analysts concluded that China's entire military modernization hinged on one critical dependency: its access to the ultra-high-performance GPUs designed in Silicon Valley. The Nvidia H200 wasn't just a component, it was the engine for this entire ambition. Therefore, the strategy, known as proactive defense, was born. It was simple, elegant, and ruthless. By identifying the single most critical choke point in China's AI supply chain and severing it, the US believed it could neutralize the threat without firing a single missile. The ban was sold to allies and the public as a necessary step to safeguard global security and ensure that the future of AI would be guided by democratic principles, not authoritarian control. It was a plan that looked perfect on paper. But paper doesn't account for the brutal, chaotic realities of the global economic machine.
The shockwave from Washington's decision hit Wall Street with the force of an earthquake, not with a bang, but with the chilling silence of numbers turning red. Nvidia, the undisputed king of AI and a titan of the stock market, saw its trajectory instantly altered. The ban didn't just affect future projections, it vaporized a confirmed, multi-billion-dollar market overnight. Analysts, who just days before were predicting limitless growth, now scrambled to factor in a new, unpredictable variable: geopolitical warfare. But the contagion didn't stop with Nvidia. The chill quickly spread to its ecosystem partners and rivals alike. Companies like AMD, Intel, and Broadcom, all with deep financial ties to the Chinese market, saw their risk profiles rewritten in an instant. The message from the White House was unambiguous: the era of placing profits above patriotism is over. This injected a level of fear and uncertainty into the market that hadn't been seen in decades. For investors, the rules of the game had fundamentally changed. A company's value was no longer just a function of its innovation or market share, but of its political alignment. While Wall Street was frantically counting its losses, a very different kind of calculation was being made in Beijing. For China's vibrant AI industry, the news was a technological Pearl Harbor. It was a sudden, devastating blow aimed at the heart of their national ambition. Imagine the country's entire AI ecosystem as a fleet of high-performance race cars, all fine-tuned to run on the world's best fuel. And Washington had just dynamited the fuel depot. Corporate giants at the forefront of China's technological revolution, from search engine leader Baidu and e-commerce titan Alibaba to social media behemoth Tencent, were suddenly facing a hardware apocalypse. Their ambitious roadmaps for developing next-generation large language models, autonomous vehicle fleets, and advanced medical research platforms were thrown into total chaos. Without a steady supply of Nvidia's state-of-the-art chips, they were faced with a grim, immediate choice: dramatically scale back their ambitions and fall hopelessly behind the West, or find a radical new way to survive. The initial sentiment across the industry was one of shock and fury, a feeling of being unfairly targeted and technologically strangled at a critical moment of growth. From the outside, it looked like a checkmate. It seemed as if the American strategy was working perfectly. But what the West perceived as a death blow, Beijing recognized as something else entirely: a starting gun. To understand what happens next, you don't need a crystal ball. You only need to look back a few years to the US sanctions against Huawei. The goal then was identical to the goal now: to kill a formidable Chinese tech giant by cutting off its access to critical American technology, specifically Google's Android ecosystem and advanced chips from suppliers like Qualcomm. For any other corporation on Earth, it would have been a swift and certain death sentence. The world wrote Huawei's obituary. Yet, what actually happened? Backed into a corner with its survival on the line, Huawei performed one of the most remarkable and defiant corporate pivots in modern history. They poured tens of billions of dollars into creating their own operating system, Harmony OS, from scratch. Through their subsidiary HiSilicon, and in a secretive partnership with Chinese foundry SMIC, they designed and manufactured their own advanced 7nm processor, the Kirin 9000S. It proves that when China's national pride and economic future are at stake, the combination of immense state funding, world-class engineering talent, and a single-minded national focus can overcome seemingly insurmountable barriers. It's a system the West consistently fails to comprehend: state-guided developmental capitalism. When faced with a national strategic priority of this magnitude, Beijing doesn't just offer subsidies and tax breaks, it orchestrates a nationwide industrial crusade with military-like precision. The government is now channeling unprecedented funding, hundreds of billions of dollars, into a handful of designated national champions. Companies like SMIC, China's top chip foundry, are given virtually unlimited resources and political cover. Tech giants like Huawei, Alibaba, and Tencent are not just encouraged but are now mandated by the state to pool their research, share their most brilliant engineers, and align their efforts towards a common goal. This is a level of forced collaboration that is simply unthinkable in the West, where fierce, zero-sum competition between rivals like Nvidia, Intel, and AMD is the engine of innovation. In America, trade secrets are protected by armies of lawyers. In China, under state direction, they are shared for the glory of the nation. China isn't just trying to build a single chip, they are building a fortress. The technological challenge facing China is immense. For years, its companies were content, and even incentivized, to build their innovations on top of Nvidia's hardware and, more importantly, its dominant software ecosystem, CUDA, which is the uncontested industry standard for all AI development. But the American ban has decisively removed all other options. Now, China is forced to embark on a great technological leap forward, accelerating its innovation in three key areas simultaneously. First, GPU architecture. Instead of directly copying Nvidia's designs, they are exploring more radical and modular approaches, like chiplets, which involve connecting smaller, specialized chips together to create a processor that can be more flexible and cost-effective. With access to Western lithography equipment restricted, China is doubling down on developing its own critical tools to finally break the technological blockade. A nationwide, open-source effort is underway to create a powerful alternative to CUDA, uniting all of China's tech giants on a single, standardized platform. The road will be long and expensive, but the motivation is absolute. But the impact of this new technological arms race won't be contained within China's borders. It's about to fracture the entire world. For decades, the global economy operated on a single, unified technology standard, largely designed in Silicon Valley and manufactured in Asia. That world is now gone, forever. A new, silicon curtain is descending, decisively splitting the globe into two competing, and increasingly incompatible, technological spheres of influence, the US-led ecosystem, and the emerging, self-reliant Chinese ecosystem. This great fracturing is forcing every other nation and multinational corporation to make an impossible choice. Do you align your future with the American tech stack, with its cutting-edge innovation but extreme vulnerability to sudden political sanctions? Or do you hedge your bets and integrate with China's emerging ecosystem, which promises long-term stability and access to its vast market, but comes with its own stark rules of state surveillance and control? A company like Apple, which designs its products in California and assembles them in China, is now caught in a geopolitical crossfire. European and Asian powers, from Germany to Japan and South Korea, are now scrambling to achieve their own chip sovereignty, launching their own multi-billion-dollar programs. This is the end of globalization as we know it. So what does this new, fractured world mean for you, the savvy investor, the ambitious professional, the informed global citizen? It means the entire investment landscape has been permanently and radically altered. For the past decade, buying shares in a company like Nvidia felt like one of the safest and most brilliant bets on the future. Now, its success is inextricably tied not just to the genius of its engineers, but to the unpredictable whims of politicians in Washington. A stock that was once a pure technology play has now become a high-risk geopolitical asset. This chaos, however, creates new questions and new opportunities. Does the ban make American rivals like Intel or AMD a more attractive short-term investment, as they might absorb some of Nvidia's lost market? Or does the real, explosive long-term opportunity now lie in the very Chinese tech stocks that Wall Street has written off? The risk is monumental, but the potential reward from a state-fueled technological breakthrough is astronomical. The old models of financial analysis are now obsolete. To navigate this new era, you need to understand not just balance sheets and earnings reports, but political strategy, national pride, and the deep, powerful currents of history.
We began with a simple, counterintuitive question. What if the best way to empower your enemy is to corner them? The United States, in a calculated attempt to preserve its technological supremacy, launched what it believed was a crippling strike against China's AI industry. The clear intent was to freeze their progress, to lock them out of the future, to secure another century of American dominance. But all the evidence suggests they may have achieved the exact, terrifying opposite. They have awakened a sleeping giant from a comfortable slumber, given it a singular, unifying purpose, and forced it onto a path of radical, state-funded self-reliance. The Nvidia H200 ban will not be remembered as the day America secured its lead. It will be remembered as the day China began building its own, independent technological destiny. The United States wanted to remain the world's sole architect of the digital future. Instead, it has created a rival architect, one who is now drawing up their own blueprints with their own rules, and with a level of determination the world has not seen in generations. If you believe that understanding these powerful forces is critical to navigating the future, then you're in the right place. Here at Tech Briefed, we uncover these stories every week. So if you want to stay ahead of the curve, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. You won't just be getting content, you'll be getting a crucial advantage.